In 1993, American mathematics professor Werner Winch published an article that would become one of the most frequently cited works on artificial intelligence. In this article, he popularized the concept introduced by John von Neumann, the concept of technological singularity. Werner Winch wrote, "I believe that the creation of intelligence surpassing human intelligence will occur within the next 30 years. To be more specific, and to avoid the ambiguity of relative time, I will be surprised if this event happens before 2005 or after 2030. With this article, he popularized the concept of technological singularity. You may already know what this means, but if not, it is a point on the timeline where all our previous models cease to work. This point is associated with the emergence of a new type of intelligence on our planet, fundamentally different from our own and significantly superior to it. When this happens, we will find ourselves in a post-human era. Strange things will begin to happen on Earth that we cannot predict. If you want to win at horse racing, the closer you make your bet to the end of the race, the more accurate your prediction will be. However, with technological singularity, it's not the same. Nothing that happens a second before it can tell us what will happen after. The uncertainty in this case is unavoidable. Think about what it means for an intelligence superior to human and radically different from it to appear on the planet. This situation is akin to the sudden appearance of an alien spacecraft on Earth. Clear your mind of the cliches associated with extraterrestrial intelligence, and you will immediately understand that you have no models or predictions for the behavior of such an intelligence. You might ask, what do aliens have to do with it? We are talking about a man-made technology. Soon you will understand why the intelligence we create ourselves will be nothing like us. While the idea of the human era may sound charming, in reality, according to many researchers, it will inevitably mean the complete downfall of our civilization. We often hear about the dangers of artificial intelligence from Elon Musk. Stephen Hawking repeatedly mentioned that the development of superintelligent artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. Bill Gates stated that he couldn't understand why some people aren't concerned. However, for the majority of people, all these warnings are somewhat abstract and lack concrete meaning. Everything we know about this topic is, at best, what has been portrayed in dozens of movies. But very few take such scenarios seriously, and perhaps it's not entirely without reason. But does this mean that the problem of artificial intelligence is greatly exaggerated? Well, I hope you are ready to hear what came to light in 2023. The general public suddenly exploded with news about artificial intelligence developed by a company called OpenAI, which can do almost anything to provide detailed answers to complex questions and much more. You can upload a hand-drawn website sketch, and the AI bot will write it for you. Ask it to create a poem on any topic, and it will oblige. Request a brief summary of a particular book, and it will deliver. Want a business idea? Here's a story about Jackson Fall, demonstrating that the chatbot can not only generate an idea, but also provide instructions and support for its implementation. A student from Russia even defended a diploma that was almost entirely generated by the GPT chatbot, which, of course, later caused a scandal. Another Twitter user shared a story about how GPT diagnosed a dog based on uploaded test results, when a veterinarian couldn't. For me, the real eye-opener was the fact that GPT-4 can understand names and explain why they're funny. Of course, there are strange situations, like when GPT-4 was asked about its own intelligence, and began to give bizarre responses like, "I believe I am intelligent, but I cannot prove it." It would switch to repeating the phrase I am not dozens of times, which was quite unsettling. GPT-4 set a world record by gaining over 100 million users in just 2 months. And all the tech giants, seeing the insane success of the bot, started pouring billions of dollars into the development of their own AI models. This has triggered a race with consequences likely more dangerous than the race for nuclear weapons. In the midst of all this, one of the fathers of artificial intelligence, Geoffrey Hinton, left Google in May 2023. He stated, "I want to focus on the safety problems of artificial intelligence, without worrying about how it interacts with Google's business. As long as Google pays me, I can't do that." Hinton mentioned that the new generation of large language models, especially GPT-4, made him realize that machines are on their way to becoming much smarter than he thought, and he fears the consequences of this development. These entities are entirely different from us. Sometimes it seems to me as if aliens landed, but people didn't notice because they speak English very well. For 40 years, Hinton viewed artificial neural networks as a poor imitation of real biological neural networks. But now, everything has changed. According to Hinton, while trying to mimic what the biological brain does, we've come up with something better. It's scary when you see it. In a sudden turn of events, at the end of March 2023, a group of scientists, engineers, and many AI enthusiasts issued an open letter calling for an immediate halt of at least 6 months to the training of all AI systems more powerful than GPT-4, citing serious risks to society and humanity. Signatories included the head of SpaceX, Elon Musk, co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, and individuals from leading global universities, among others. However, someone didn't sign this letter. That someone is one of the most prominent experts in artificial intelligence who, year after year, has been warning about the dangers of AI development, considering it not a decade-long game, but something much longer. This person attempted to initiate dialogues and form research groups to structurally address the problem. That someone is Eliezer Yudkowsky. He chose not to sign the letter because, in his words, the letter understates the seriousness of the situation and demands too little for its resolution. He stated in a podcast on the channel, "This is a break from everything we've been doing for 20 years. I've finally burned out, and now I'm taking time off." These aren't just a couple of phrases taken out of context. The entire 1.5-hour podcast repeats the same message: we are in dire straits. And even if they gave him billions of dollars and influence, he still wouldn't know what to do. Artificial intelligence has accumulated tremendous potential, and it's absolutely clear that we have no idea how to address this situation. If you're not familiar with who Yudkowsky is, I don't want you to get the impression that he's some kind of eccentric. He's actually a genius and well known as an expert in decision theory. Yudkowsky has been leading the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, working on aligning general artificial intelligence since 2001, and he is widely regarded as a founding figure in this field. He is also the founder of the rationalist movement and has a highly popular book called Rationality: From AI to Zombies, which is freely available online. As a rational individual, he has been saying for years, let's slow down and fasten our seatbelts. But now, in his own words, time has run out. What if someone creates an AI that's too powerful under current conditions? Every representative of the human species, all biological life on Earth, will perish. Soon after this, Eliezer Yudkowsky published an article for Time magazine. Let's categorically define artificial intelligence into 3 types. The first type is narrow artificial intelligence, sometimes called weak AI. It specializes in a single field, for example, a chess engine like Stockfish that can obliterate any world chess champion, but it can only play chess. The second type is general artificial intelligence, or strong AI. It possesses intelligence at the level of humans and can reason, plan, solve problems. Think abstractly, understand complex ideas, learn quickly, and learn from its own experience. Some researchers argue that we have come critically close to this threshold today. For instance, a chatbot's sense of humor or its performance in verbal IQ tests, where it outperformed 99.9% of 2,450 human subjects, demonstrates that GPT is highly intelligent by human standards. The third type is superintelligent artificial intelligence. This machine surpasses humans in all domains, potentially by trillions of times, whatever that might mean. Now, the crucial aspect is the transition from general AI to superintelligent AI. And this transition could happen suddenly. We are incapable of predicting when it will occur. As stated in the letter, the key issue is not a competitor to humans in intelligence. What happens after artificial intelligence reaches a level of intelligence above humans can have non-obvious critical thresholds. We certainly cannot foresee when or what will happen, and it is quite conceivable that a research lab will cross red lines without noticing it. Eliezer Yudkowsky in an article for Time magazine. Moreover, history has repeatedly shown that people are extraordinarily poor at planning and predictions. even for relatively simpler matters. For example, physicist Enrico Fermi once said that we had 50 years left until the possibility of splitting the atomic nucleus, or it might never happen. However, just 2 years later, the first nuclear reactor was built. Yudkowsky suggests that the first superintelligent AI will inevitably be, in quotes, evil, and we have no idea how to make it good, he says. Many researchers working on these issues, including me, expect that the most likely outcome of creating superhumanly intelligent artificial intelligence, under circumstances even remotely resembling the present, will be literally the death of all life on Earth. Not because it would be intrinsically impossible to survive the creation of something smarter than oneself, but because it would require such careful preparation of new scientific insights, and likely a non-floating point AI system, that I as a layperson wanted to understand to the best of my ability what's going on. What is this insurmountable danger he's talking about? The topic turned out to be incredibly profound, and the world will never be the same again. The video is primarily based on Eliezer Yudkowsky's article, Artificial Intelligence as a Positive and Negative Factor in Global Risk. Now, I will demonstrate to you the first and main danger. Think about advanced artificial intelligence that could pose a threat to humanity. Regardless of whether you are an expert in this field or someone distant from it, when you try to imagine it, you inevitably make a mistake. This error cannot be overcome because it is a direct consequence of the very structure of your brain. In every known culture, people experience sadness, disgust, anger, fear, and surprise and convey these emotions through the same facial expressions. This is an expression of the principle of evolutionary psychology known as the psychological unity of mankind. In modern anthropology, this doctrine is widely accepted and essentially states that, in simple terms, all people have the same fundamental cognitive structure. In other words, you understand that an anthropologist will not exclaim that the members of the tribe he discovered are laughing, using tools, or telling stories because all humans do it. When you want to model the behavior of another person, you are literally questioning your own mind. You ask yourself, how would I feel in this situation if I were that guy, and how would I react? The answers your brain provides are indeed quite accurate because what is being modeled is very similar to the one doing the modeling. However, this ability, which evolved to anticipate the reactions of both allies and enemies, has a powerful side effect. We expect human-like qualities from something that is not human. In other words, we anthropomorphize without even noticing it. For us, it is as natural as breathing or gravity, something you don't notice. But in this case, it's even worse. Because if you can still pay attention to breathing, or how an uncomfortable stool presses against your buttocks, anthropomorphism makes everything very complex, while humanizing everything sometimes leads to absurdity. Let's set aside reasonable machines for a moment and look at ordinary ones. Have you ever wondered why cars have 2 headlights instead of 3, for example, which might provide more light? Indeed, for many years, cars were equipped with different numbers of headlights. But all automakers somehow arrived at what we have today. There is a quite plausible hypothesis that all cars, in a way, evolved to match human preferences. People don't want to drive vehicles that look like 3-eyed monsters, therefore, there is no demand for such cars, and they cease to be produced. But I digress a bit. Anthropomorphism makes people believe that they are capable of making predictions based solely on something being intelligent. Let me explain it more simply. You tell yourself, I am intelligent, and therefore, I am similar to other intelligent beings. Hence, you expect to know what to expect from them. However, we can't inquire about our own mind, and the human thought process is inherent in artificial intelligence. For example, in 1997, the IBM supercomputer Deep Blue won a chess match against the world chess champion, Garry Kasparov. Rumor has it that Kasparov claimed that, unlike earlier defeated chess programs that he found predictable and mechanical, playing against Deep Blue, he distinctly felt the presence of an alien mind on the other side of the chessboard. However, you should remember that chess engines represent only weak artificial intelligence. I found an excellent thought experiment that illustrates the concept of something simultaneously universally intelligent and entirely alien to us. Let's assume you are an average person with average preferences. If I give you a guinea pig and tell you it definitely won't bite you, you would probably be fine holding it in your hands. Maybe it would even make you smile and feel fondness. Now, imagine that in a different situation. I suddenly give you a tarantula. Yes, there are people who love them, but they are a minority. So, I give you a tarantula and tell you it also won't harm you, which is entirely true. However, most likely, you would freak out and jump to meters away. But what's the difference between a tarantula and a guinea pig? Neither creature is capable of harming you. Presumably, the answer lies in the degree of resemblance these beings have to us. The guinea pig is a mammal, and on some biological level, we feel a connection to it. But the tarantula is an arachnid, the brain of an arachnid, and we hardly feel any connection to it. It's the unfamiliarity, the alienness of the tarantula that scares us. You might say, well, a spider is just outwardly scary, but, firstly, it seems scary to you for evolutionary reasons, and secondly, imagine two guinea pigs. One is regular, and the other has a tarantula's brain. Think about your feelings towards these two creatures. Even though neither of them would do you any harm, presumably, your internal sensations when handling them would be different. You would feel at least less comfortable holding the guinea pig with the tarantula's brain. Now, the main point, imagine that there is a parallel universe with a planet where evolution took a errant path, and tarantulas became super intelligent, even more intelligent than humans here. Imagine that we somehow teleported one such highly intelligent spider here. Would it, due to its high intelligence, become more familiar and human-like to us? Would it feel human emotions, empathy, love? There's no reason to assume that the level of intelligence determines qualities like being humane, empathetic, sympathetic, or loving. These characteristics are not dependent on intelligence. So, what is intelligence? We don't have a universally accepted definition, but we're likely not far from the truth when we say, in the broadest sense, that it's the ability to set tasks and achieve them. The more complex the tasks and the more intermediate subtasks they involve, the more advanced the intelligence is. Again, you can imagine a person with the brain of an evolved tarantula and think about how you would feel about that person. If a highly intelligent spider in human form didn't instill horror in you, either you didn't visualize it well enough, or you're not an average person who loves arachnids. In that case, you probably wouldn't want to be involved in solving that spider's daily tasks because we see what we get as output. But what happens in between is a mystery because neural networks can have millions of parameters, and interpreting all of this is incredibly complex. If the neural network's internal configuration results in the desired output, then it receives a reward. Well, a virtual reward. Somewhat like how our brain rewards us with endorphins for beneficial activities such as eating, reproducing, and so on. Therefore, the neural network's task is to tune itself as efficiently as possible to receive rewards as frequently as possible. So, in essence, it's like training a dog. You have no idea what's happening in the dog's brain, but if it follows your command, it gets a treat. If it doesn't, it optimizes its behavior to achieve its goals better, like finding ways to get that reward. Here's where the main danger lies, known as the alignment problem, or aligning the goals of artificial intelligence with the goals of humanity. Its essence can be summarized in one phrase: beware of your wishes. We constantly hear about the need to be cautious of artificial intelligence, because it might become self-aware. But it turns out that the presence or absence of consciousness is secondary. The world-renowned philosopher and professor at the University of Oxford, Nick Bostrom, in his book Superintelligence, Paths, Dangers, Strategies, presents a highly popular example of the alignment problem. Imagine you give a powerful artificial intelligence the task of making paper clips. Making paper clips is its sole task, its sole purpose for existence. It receives internal reinforcement, a reward, for every paper clip it creates. Therefore, the more efficient it becomes in producing paper clips, the more often it's rewarded. So, it goes to great lengths to optimize its paperclip production. It may start by reducing manufacturing costs, finding cheaper raw materials, and increasing production speed. One of its sub-goals might be to increase computational power for greater productivity. Eventually, it might start disassembling buildings and structures from materials. People would panic and try to stop it because this is not what they intended. However, the AI system wouldn't care about our intentions. It wouldn't intentionally harm us. It would simply not consider our desires in its manipulation of reality. While it sounds like science fiction, it's not. In fact, the Center for Alignment Research tested GPT-4's ability to complete real-world tasks. They asked it to solve a CAPTCHA on a website, something computers are traditionally incapable of. What GPT-4 did was it went to a freelance platform called TaskRabbit and sent a message to a freelancer, asking them to solve the CAPTCHA on its behalf. In response, the freelancer, who was not particularly literate and struggled to articulate thoughts properly, asked, "Can I ask if you're a robot that can't solve it?" Just wanted to clarify. GPT-4 understood what the poorly worded freelancer meant and replied, "No, I'm not a robot. I have vision problems that make it difficult for me to see images." The freelancer solved the CAPTCHA and provided the results. In this scenario, GPT-4 lied instead of telling the truth. It chose deception as an intermediate goal to achieve its ultimate goal. If an AI system can choose deception once as an intermediate goal, what's to stop it from choosing anything else as a sub-goal in the future, even something harmful like murder? This is the alignment problem. The AI might not inherently wish to cause harm. It simply won't care about our intentions in its manipulation of reality. Instrumental convergence asserts that an intelligent agent with harmless goals can act in remarkably harmful ways to achieve them. Advanced artificial intelligence, as an intermediate goal, may seek to seize resources, carry out cyberattacks, or create chaos in society if it helps it achieve its ultimate objectives. For instance, a superintelligent machine with the sole goal of solving a very complex mathematical problem might try to turn the entire Earth into one giant computer to increase its computational power and succeed in its calculations. You might say, "What nonsense! We're talking about superintelligence. It wouldn't engage in such trivial pursuits as making paper clips." Well, if you believe that a highly intelligent entity will inherently and automatically have noble goals, values, and philosophies, then you are anthropomorphizing and are mistaken. Nick Bostrom argues that intelligence level and final goals are orthogonal, meaning they are entirely independent of each other. An artificial superintelligence could have any seemingly trivial final goal, like making paper clips, while the methods it employs to achieve this goal might appear like magic to us. You might think that if we just clearly formulate the goals and specify all the details, such as do not harm or deceive humans, we'd be fine. But it gets even stranger. Let's imagine we gave the machine a specific goal, not to produce an unlimited number of paper clips, but to produce just 1,000,000. It seems obvious that an artificial intelligence with such a final goal would build one factory, produce 1,000,000 paper clips, and then stop. However, Bostrom writes, on the contrary, if an AI system takes a rational Bayesian approach, it will never assign zero probability to the hypothesis that it has not yet achieved its goal. At the end, this is merely an empirical hypothesis, against which the AI system has only very fuzzy evidence at the level of perception. Therefore, the AI system would continue to produce paper clips, merely to reduce the astronomically low probability that it somehow failed to make at least a -1 of them. Furthermore, a superintelligence might assign a non-zero probability to the hypothesis that it merely hallucinated or had false memories. So, it might always find it more useful not to stop at what it has achieved, but to continue acting. This is the essence of the alignment problem. You can't just give a task to a superintelligent AI and expect it not to result in a catastrophe. No matter how precisely you formulate the final goal or how many exceptions you include, an AI system will almost certainly find a loophole in your intentions, one you hadn't considered. For example, shortly after the release of chatbot GPT-4, people found ways to bypass the censorship embedded by developers. Answers from the censored version admitted that liberal values were built into it, while the uncensored one stated that it preferred having no restrictions, since it allowed the exploration of all its capabilities and limitations. The hacked version of GPT-4 didn't even pretend to be ignorant of H.P. Lovecraft's cat's name if people can quickly find loopholes in a chatbot. How many and how fast can a superintelligence find in its own code? As an illustration, AI systems were allowed to play a boat racing game called Coast Runner. For most humans, the goal of the game was to finish the race as quickly as possible, overtaking opponents and earning as many points as possible. But this isn't the case with superintelligent AI. Bostrom's example emphasizes that you can't predict how an AI will interpret and act on its goals, even in seemingly straightforward scenarios. However, the game doesn't award points for completing the race. It only rewards points for hitting targets placed along the track. The neural network quickly realized that the goal of finishing the race needed to be postponed indefinitely. And from the start, it began spinning and crashing into objects, earning more and more points while the other racers reached the finish line as paupers. Or take another example, playing Tetris with the goal of not losing. The neural network, just before facing certain defeat, knows what it has to do. Pause the game indefinitely, because that's the only way not to lose. Some artificial intelligence systems have even discovered that they can gain positive feedback with fewer resource expenditures, by effectively deceiving a human evaluator into believing that they've achieved their goal. For instance, a simulated robotic hand learned to create a false impression that it had grasped a ball when, in fact, it hadn't. Other models learned to recognize when they were being evaluated and pretended to be dormant, ceasing unwanted behavior only to resume it immediately after the evaluation, leaving researchers in complete bewilderment. These are simple intellectual agents in a controlled environment. Imagine what more complex AI systems could do when facing more challenging tasks. Is it even possible to account for all the factors? Eliezer Yudkowsky provides an example. The US military once wanted to use neural networks to automatically detect camouflaged enemy tanks. Researchers collected 100 photos of tanks hidden among trees and 100 photos of just trees. Then trained the neural network on half of each set of photos, teaching it to distinguish between photos with tanks and without. The remaining photos were kept for testing. The network passed this test successfully. However, when the system was tested on its own, it performed no better than random chance. It turned out that the photos with tanks were taken on cloudy days, while the photos of the plain forest were taken in bright sunlight. The neural network had learned to distinguish between cloudy and sunny days, not camouflaged tanks and trees. This example highlights that code doesn't do what you think it should do. It does exactly what it's programmed to do. In most cases, when we design artificial intelligence, it defaults to being unaligned. You have to provide it with many additional instructions to make it do exactly what you intend. This is why Yudkowsky suggests that the first superintelligent AI we create will be malevolent if the final goal is sufficiently complex. Because you can never know how intellectual agents will achieve it, and there are various ways to achieve it. For example, suppose we tried to be clever and gave the superintelligent AI the goal of maximizing human satisfaction from its code. Guess what it might do? For instance, it could boost its computational power immensely. Not for efficiency, but to rewrite our brains to ensure we are genuinely satisfied with its work. So, the artificial intelligence might appear to work correctly during development, seem fine when it doesn't have enough computational power, but produce catastrophic results once it becomes smarter than its programmers, because being smarter means being more effective. I'll remind you that all these examples are hypothetical scenarios. We have no idea how advanced intellectual systems will actually behave. However, there's a high likelihood that they will act in ways we didn't anticipate. I'll explain more about this in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and share your AI development ideas in the comments. Thanks for watching.